What's up YouTube? It's Shawn, your Charleston Realtor, coming at you with another video about Charleston. Today we're not going to talk about real estate, and instead we're going to dive into some of the interesting, if not quirky, facts about Charleston in the state of South Carolina that you might not immediately know if you're planning to visit, or if to move here, or even if you live here. And as always, before we get started, please consider giving the video a thumbs up and hitting the subscribe button. It helps me out a ton. So number one, if you remember back to history class, Charleston was actually where the American Civil War started. South Carolina was the first state to secede from the Union in 1860, which caused U.S. troops based in Charleston to retreat to the safe haven of Fort Sumter in the middle of the Charleston Harbor. The Confederacy began to strengthen its shore batteries on the southern tip of the Charleston Peninsula, and by April 1861, the South unleashed a two-day barrage on Fort Sumter, which caused the North to surrender, thus starting the American Civil War. To this day, you can still walk the battery in downtown Charleston and see some of those old guns. And you can also visit Fort Sumter by taking a ferry out there. So number two, when you think of Charleston, you probably picture charming historic streets and sandy beaches. But did you know that Charleston is actually America's 8th largest port in terms of TEU, which is just a way to measure the number of shipping containers that come through here. The city also recently spent tens of millions of dollars on a dredging project to deepen the harbor so larger drafted ships can pull into here, which will ensure that Charleston remains relevant in the future of commercial shipping. So number three, and this is a fun one, alcohol and South Carolina. So hard liquor cannot be sold in grocery stores, it has to be sold in licensed liquor stores. These stores are closed on Sundays, meaning that you can't buy any hard liquor on Sundays unless you go to a restaurant. But that's just where the craziness begins. Only 12 counties and a handful of cities allow for beer and wine sales on Sundays. Those counties are Anderson, Richland, Georgetown, Charleston, Beaufort, Greenville, Horry, Berkeley, Dorchester, Newberry, Kershaw, Lancaster, and also York County. Bars have to stop selling beer after midnight, and restaurants cannot serve alcohol before 10 a.m. So number four, on the topic of spirits, you've probably noticed that liquor store signs always have 3 red dots. Sure, they might have a name, but I can't think of any liquor store that I've personally seen here in South Carolina that doesn't advertise itself with those 3 red dots. The reason behind this is pretty funny. After Prohibition was repealed in the 1930s with the 21st Amendment, the South Carolina legislature put into place some really strict laws that govern the advertising of liquor stores. For instance, one of those rules was that the stores could only advertise with letters that were no more than 3 inches high. So to get around this, in the 1940s, stores just started to plaster 3 red dots in the storefront. These dots became synonymous with liquor stores. And even though those strict advertising laws have since been repealed, the tradition has kind of stuck. Number 5. So sometimes you might be going around and you hear Charleston in the surrounding area called the Low Country. Now, the Low Country just refers to the geographic region near the coast of the southern half of South Carolina that's known for its marshes and flat terrain. There's actually a geographic constraint of the Low Country, which is the sand hills that run through the state and are about 50 miles inland. But most people don't know this, and nor do they really care. Saying you're from the Low Country, or that you live in the Low Country, or you talk about the Low Country, it's just another way of saying that you're not talking about upstate. So that's 5 facts about Charleston and South Carolina. If you enjoy these type of videos, please say so in the comments down below. I do enjoy taking breaks from talking about Charleston real estate to put together videos like these. If you want to talk more about Charleston, be sure you send me a message. My contact information is in the description below. I'll see you in the next video.